Welcome to TB Collects. This is Tyler, and today I have an episode of Bourbon and Books, where I drink a bourbon and read a book and tell you what I think about them. This is the first episode, just starting out with this series, and I am from Kentucky, so I like bourbon. So I thought, what better way to share two things that I like than put it in a video together. When I started doing YouTube videos, one of the things that I knew I wanted to do was make videos to get people to talk with, in the community about comics. I know a lot of people don't always have other friends or family that are into comics, and so this was one of my reasons for starting the channel and sharing, these books and starting off with these reviews, is to talk to other people that love comics and see what they have to say, because everybody has different tastes and different views, and I think the most fun part about this hobby is seeing what other people like, finding new books from them, and talking it out. When I started this YouTube channel, I always knew I wanted to do a comic book review show or series, and I wanted it to be about talking comics with other people. And I don't know if it's karma or what, but I just happened to stumble upon the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. It's another YouTube channel. They do great reviews. They're four guys that read a new book every week and give a review on it in a podcast form. It's on YouTube and iTunes and all that stuff. And I just wanted to give them a quick shout out because I love their content, and you guys should go check them out. I'll put a link in the description to their channel. So that was kind of the inspiration for this, and I thought, since I'm from Kentucky, we'll add in a little bourbon. It's not going to be focused on the bourbon, mostly just the books, but, I figured I could share a little bit of my review and taste for bourbon and send it out to you guys. So today we have Knob Creek Quarter Oak. This is 100 proof. Limited release, it says, but I've seen it a lot of places, so I don't think it's that limited. I think it's just kind of not in their normal line. But I really enjoy Knob Creek. It's one of my favorite lines. A lot of them are really good. This one's a little bit different. It has quarter oak staves that are put in to the barrel afterwards to give it a more smoky flavor. So cheers. And like I said, I absolutely love Knob Creek. It's a really good one. Being 100 proof, it's a little higher heat than their normal basic Knob Creek release, but you might see this a little bit later as well in the review. So today I got Joker by Brian Azzarello, art by Lee Bermejo. It's told from the point of view of Johnny Frost. He's a new thug. He's trying to get into the criminal world in Gotham, and he is sent to pick up Joker as he's being released from Arkham Asylum. For whatever reason, we never find out, but he says he's cured, but Joker gets out of Arkham Asylum, and you have to know that things are going to go wrong from there. But he gets out. He decides, that things haven't been going that great while he was away. Everyone in the criminal world thought he was put away for good, so they kind of took over all of his cash making endeavors, and split up his territory, and he is not happy about it. That's the gist of the story. Johnny is his driver, his new street thug, enforcer guy, and you're getting the story from his perspective, which I think is cool. I enjoyed that aspect of it. You get the narration from Johnny Frost, and you do learn a little bit more about him as the story goes along. First, I'll talk about the art. Kind of want to start there. I absolutely love the character designs in this book. Joker is You can see from the front cover, he is evil looking. He's got this scarred mouth. And I actually had to do some research because I've had this book for a long time, and I was doing a reread of it. This book came out in 2008. The Dark Knight came out in 2008, and I don't know if one or the other was influenced, but they look very similar to the Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. I'll go ahead and open it up, and I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. When you look at these panels, it has a very Dark Knight Joker design to it. There's even a scene in here where he's with Killer Croc, and it reminded me of the scene in Dark Knight where he goes in there and puts the pencil through the guy's head. But yeah, the art itself, like as I said, I just love. See if I can get that in there. The design of all of the villains in here, as well as Batman. Batman does show up. I mean, it's a Batman book. Joker is evil looking. Killer Croc, that design is really cool. He's more normal looking, I would say, than like some iterations of Killer Croc. He doesn't look so much like a mutant crocodile. So that was super cool. I like that design. Harley Quinn looks absolutely beautiful the way she's drawn. But one thing I didn't like is she doesn't even speak in this book. It's kind of noticeable. It's weird because she's like the only character in here that doesn't speak. I don't know if that was like an artistic choice or for the story, but it seemed a little off to me. Yeah, so Two-Face looks absolutely disgusting. Riddler is kind of like a Hunter S. Thompson. What I wrote down was Hunter S. Thompson, Street Racer, and Chuck Taylor's. It's really interesting. I don't know if I liked it, but it was weird, and so I kind of like that part. Overall, if you've ever seen a Lee Bermejo, his art is very distinct. It's this almost painted kind of very heavy on the shadowing, and this page is just absolute. The entire 2-page spread is just absolutely gorgeous. And if you see it, it looks like, you can see the cloth, and it feels like cloth. And that's one of my problems, is you have that, and then the other parts of this book seem very flat. So after reading it, because it's all drawn by Lee Bermejo, but it's not all inked. And so I went back afterwards because it's so jarring to me to go from these sort of, I wouldn't call them flat but they aren't illustrated, or they don't look the same. And so if you go back and look, Lee Bermejo is on pencils and inks on certain pages. And I look back and they corresponded with the pages that look the best. That have this sort of coloring and style and shading, and I guess that's in the colors, because he did it. And it was such a stark contrast, because I had just read Batman Damned, which he did all the art in, and everything looks in this Bermejo style. And so it really took me out of the book, honestly, which is unfortunate, because I would have loved to see this book all by Lee Bermejo. I know this is one of his earlier works, and so maybe they, DC or whoever wasn't trusting him, but it just it really took me out of the book, which is unfortunate. Like I said, the Bermejo on inks pages looked absolutely phenomenal and looked so good, and I love that art, and I love his style. As far as the story goes, though, because that's, I want to review the story. This book is savage. It is not. It is extremely violent. At one point, Joker is celebrating his release, and they're at a sort of dive bar, strip bar type thing, and then Harley gets on stage, and she's like as a stripper, but she's putting her Harley costume on. Joker takes a man in the back and fillets him, literally takes the skin off of his body and pushes him out on stage, and it is just grisly. And gross. And like I said, Two-Face's face, is absolutely gross. At one point, Joker goes into a random house, and it's really, for me at that point, that you're really seeing how crazy he is. He goes into a house of a random old couple, and just murders them and lays on top of their bodies. It's nasty. I mean, this book is not for kids, obviously. It's savage. It is showing this new street level thug. He starts out in the beginning talking about this disease that's in Gotham, and it kind of, I won't spoil what happens in the book, but he ends up talking about how Joker is this disease, and you really see the journey of this Johnny Frost and his as a new thug trying to make a name for himself, in how at one point he says that he's doesn't really like what's happening, but he's glad to be on this side of it. And it kind of, to me, really pointed out that if you're one of Joker's thugs, I guess, you may not be able to do anything about it because Joker's running the show, but you're just glad you're not getting it. And so, as far as the plot goes, it's basically a story of Joker getting out, going and visiting all these other villains. You've got Penguin. Didn't even mention Penguin. He's in there as well. Didn't really like his design, but I've never been a huge Penguin fan, so that was okay. But he visits Penguin, Killer Croc, Two-Face. All these people are in here, and he's taken what he thinks he deserves back from them. Overall, enjoyed the story. Like I said, the art kind of just took me out of it, and I noticed it more. Maybe that's because I was reading it for a review. Maybe I've just read a lot more since then, and so I noticed it more than, because I haven't read this book in a long time, and that's why I wanted to revisit it, just to see how it holds up now. Good book. I loved the journey of Johnny Frost. One of the other things I'll mention that's kind of funny to me is, in this, Joker calls him, he introduces himself as Johnny Frost, and Joker calls him Johnny, or Johnny Frost. And it was just really funny to me, because, obviously Azzarello gets this as, Joker is kind of just mocks everyone, and he knows he has that power over other people. He does it straight to Two-Face. He makes fun of his multiple personalities and says, which one of you, and that's the reason for this tete-a-tete-a-tete, and he just was relentless in this of his, I don't care what anybody thinks of me, I'm more scary than the next guy. And that's what really stood out to me, and that's what this story really is showing, is he's visiting all these other supervillains, and they are scared of him. And if they're not scared of him, he's going to make them scared of him. So like I said, overall, I enjoyed the story. It's still as good as I remember it was. The art just kind of, I just, like I said, I wish it was Bermejo on the whole book, because I feel like that would have just been an amazing book and put it up above some other books that, are in the Batman universe as classics and stuff like that. So with this, I think I'm going to do a rating system. And then after I've got a few ratings, I'll kind of do some videos where I show kind of like a leaderboard, borrowing from Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Well, I love their content, so they do a rating at the end, and I think that sounds like a great idea. So for Joker by Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo, I think I'm going to give it an 8. As I said, if that art was a little bit better or more consistent, not better, because even the art that wasn't written by, or wasn't drawn or colored, I guess, and inked by Bermejo, it still was good. It just, needed a little more, and then maybe it could have been an 8.5 or a 9 for me. It just would have been more impactful. So if you guys have read this, let me know what you think. Let me know what you guys thought of Joker if you've read it. If not, I could recommend it. You know, it's a great book. As far as the bourbon goes, if you see Knob Creek, Quarter Oak, pick some up. I enjoy it. Value-wise, don't know if it's there. I paid a little too much for this bottle, I think. I think there are better ones out there. Even that regular Knob Creek, just the regular release from Knob Creek is probably a better value, but I do enjoy this as a limited release. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.